Hello and welcome, family, to another episode of Beyond Six Figures, the podcast that helps you crack the code and break the mold of old habits and thinking. I'm your host, Yazi, and it is my mission to help you cultivate a mindset that is worth more than millions. Today's guest is none other than Matt Haycox, serial entrepreneur, father, author, investor, and much, much more. Today we get into leadership as well as his earlier stages as an entrepreneur. So, without further ado, and I won't hold you long, let's get into today's episode with Matt Haycox. Matt, so glad that you can be here today. Really excited to hop in today's conversation. So recently you moved to Dubai. Tell me, how do you like it? How's it looking? Fill me in.
I love Dubai, mate. I always say to people that I feel like I do the PR for Dubai. It really has everything you could ask for. Whatever walk of life you're from. Once we get past the two simple bits of, it's tax free and it's very sunny. It's safe, it's clean, it's got great energy, it's got the greatest collection of hungry people, great opportunity. It's just a fantastic environment to be in. All my business is actually still in the UK. I don't actually do any business here in Dubai. But I use it as a great place for networking. But I just think, for me, being surrounded by the caliber of people I get to be surrounded by here, and the energy levels just, mean it kind of doesn't really matter where I'm living, living to work, because I get everything I've done I need to do on the Zoom, on the telephone, and flying into the UK when I need to. But it's just a very inspiring place to be. And I think one of the things I always like about it here is, it doesn't matter how big a fish you think you are.
Mm-hmm.
There's always so many bigger fishes to really motivate you. And it's like whatever you achieve, you kind of sit there and you can't rest on your laurels and think that you've made it, because you are completely broke next to everybody else here in Dubai. And it just I guess it gives you the impetus to get up in the morning, but everybody's just so happy and friendly.
Oh, dope. Okay, well, look, I also heard that, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's a thing about having a single digit license plate. That's a big deal, and it's like it shows your level of success out there. Is that true?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know enough about it to talk about it, but yeah, I have heard that. I actually don't drive over here. I hate driving. About the one negative I have to talk about Dubai is the roads and the transport. It's like you get seven lane roads with lunatic drivers, and
Yep.
and if you miss a junction, then it takes you like 25 minutes to catch up with the mistake that you've made. So I don't pay too much attention to the cars, but I do know that's true. That like a Dubai plate is like D and then a number, but the smaller the number, the single digit numbers, I think that's like we have the same kind of thing in the UK. We have private registration plates, and I think you've got A1 or A12, A123. I used to have Matt 69, really classy stuff.
Man, we're all young once, for sure. So just real quick, for the people who hadn't heard of you or don't know you just yet, give me a little rundown, fill us in about your backstory, and let us know where you started.
Yeah, well, listen. Look, I'm conscious, how long you do your podcast for, and that I've kind of found every time I've told my backstory lately, it takes about 35 minutes. So I'll give you a flying history through the last 25 years, and then we can get into the meat and the juice, and give the guys something to learn from.
Yeah.
Look, I'm 42 now. I've been wanting to do business for probably 25 years plus. I remember being 9, 10, 11, 12, I wanted to read every business book, every business magazine I could get my hands on, and that's what it was back then. There was obviously no Instagram, no YouTube, no other ways to learn. We used to have a magazine, almost like a paper version of what you guys in America would call Craigslist, where everybody sells crap on there. But there was always a little classified section where people would be selling business opportunities. Normally some kind of get rich quick scheme for $20.
Yeah.
And I used to buy those and try everything I could do. But yeah, the first I guess foray into proper business for me was in a family business, a
Mm-hmm.
uniform company making career wear,
Yeah.
which was a business that my dad had invested in and then taken over, which was ultimately a completely failing business. And I got thrown in at the deep end with every conceivable problem that you could ask for as a business owner. Customers who didn't want to buy from us, suppliers who didn't want to supply us, banks who didn't want to fund us, staff who didn't want to work there. And I kind of really got to learn in the deep end of the problems for 3 years. I mean, that was a business that when I started was losing 300 grand a year. When I finished there, it was making about 30 grand a year. It was never big. It wasn't the money. It wasn't the big numbers.
Yeah.
It was just the fact that it was that turnaround, that learning curve.
Uh-huh.
I left there in my early 20s. Went off to go and work in leisure. I'd had no experience of leisure, but I knew I wanted to own bars and clubs because I think as a 21, 22-year-old guy, we all think we want to own a bar or a nightclub and
strip club or something.
Make money, get drunk, and meet girls.
Exactly.
That was my sole qualification really for trying to do that. Had a couple of unsuccessful bars, opened a strip club. In 2004, and that first club really hit the ground running, and that was really the start of my first big rise. And over the next kind of 4 or 5 years, I became the biggest strip club operator in the UK. I had 11 strip clubs, I had 65 pubs, a property portfolio, a finance business, and I guess I was riding high, living it large, in a very overgeared, undercapitalized business. Credit crunch started in 2008. That put the brakes on our ability to be able to borrow money.
Exactly.
It was the beginning of the end. The house of cards fell down in a matter of weeks, and in September 2008, all the businesses were in administration, and I was declared personally bankrupt. And that was really the kind of end of the proper first chapter, the start of chapter 2, where I rebuilt from zero again. I started mainly in finance back then. I'd learned how to be a lender by spending many years being a borrower, and I kind of became the go-to guy for my peers and friends who were business owners and wanted to borrow money. It was like, oh, Matt knows all these weird and wonderful lenders. He knows how to get money when no one else can find it. So that was really how I got started as a finance broker, which then became a finance lender. And that kind of fast forwards me up to now, really. And over the last 7 or 8 years, I got out of the leisure industry, went purely into the finance business, used my backstory as a business owner who'd failed and a business owner who'd suffered every problem to really be able to talk to my customers and say that we're not a bank, we're not a computer says no type institution. We were borrowers before we were lenders. We're business owners, not bankers, and we can really stand by you and understand your problems and provide you support and advice as well as just the capital. And over the last 6 or 7 years, I've lent over 500 million to businesses in the UK. All of the deals I do tend to be deals that can't get done elsewhere. Maybe that's because it needs to be quick. And no one else can operate at the speed we operate at, or maybe that's just because it's a bit weird and wonderful and quirky, and other lenders just can't get comfortable. But we provide finance, we provide the support and the mentorship that these businesses need to grow or to scale or to get through the problems that they're suffering. And being a lender has accidentally led me into being an investor, and I now have a portfolio of businesses in finance, in property, in leisure, in technology, and I work to support these businesses under my umbrella structure. I still continue to lend to businesses on an arm's length basis, and I guess I provide consultancy and coaching and mentorship to other business owners that I don't fund as well. And that was as quick as I can make that backstory.
So tell me this. Throughout your career, starting as young as you started and not really having a true idea of how to do things and get things done, did you ever have like a time when you had mentors and needed some mentorship?
I mean, back say 20 years ago when it was all starting for me, um, the concept of mentors wasn't really something that was probably thought about or certainly spoken openly about. I mean, when we talk
Hmm.
about all these things nowadays, they get to be made, let's say, commonplace
Yeah.
conversations because of how freely the internet gets these kind of concepts out. And so I guess, if you look at it now, I think myself or other people, would say I formally have mentors or I formally mentor these people, and
Hmm.
it's something that's a lot more of a tangible concept.
Hmm.
Back then, yes, I did have mentors, but they were probably not people I kind of considered mentors at the time. They were
Exactly.
people I would, let's say, accidentally be picking the brains off
Hmm.
to take
By
information from. I mean,
chance.
I think I
Yeah.
always had the, you know, I guess my past was probably a mix of humility and ego in equal doses, and I probably back then had the humility to want to learn from the people I knew could teach me something, but then
Exactly.
also the ego to make sure I made a few more mistakes.
And we are never short of making mistakes. I totally understand that. So tell me this. I always like to know, and I always like to tap in here on Beyond Six Figures to figure out the why. Like, what's been the driver for you? You started very young and you're continuing now. And as you continue to expand, what has been your why? What has been the biggest driver for you?
I mean, listen. I think where I'm at now, a big driver for me is creating things and building things
Hmm.
and solving a problem,
Hmm.
but particularly things that other people probably say can't be done, or particularly that I can't do. So
Hmm.
I do very much like to do that, and I think that is very much a big driving force.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to talking about whys as well, for me, I think it's important not to gloss over the financial bit, because I think
Because it's
maybe
important.
people like to talk about their why, and almost play down the monetary side of things.
Hmm.
Look, I get that I've passed a base level of money now where I'm okay. I'm not just doing it for the money. I do it. I do it for the why. I do it for the other reason.
Hmm.
But I'd be lying if I said that it was in the old days. It was done for reasons other than money. I mean,
Hmm.
I always knew I wanted to be rich,
Yeah.
and even today, some of the things that I do, I wouldn't do if I didn't get paid for it. A lot of it I do, for the love, for the why, but a lot of it I do for the money as well. I think for me it's been a balance between the two, and you've got to know who you are. You've got to know what you want, because I think you know it's all very, I don't know, very altruistic and
Hmm.
almost, like, say, social media popular to just talk about following your dreams or following your why. And if you do what you love, all the good things will come. Well, that isn't necessarily true if the things that you love are not going to be monetizable.
Exactly.
So you've got to decide what it is you want. But I guess fortunately there's a kind of a crossover between the two things I do.
And definitely, I mean, I always find that sometimes we can get into the habit of just speaking about the mindset, which is very important, to get the money, but the money helps you do the things that you love. It also helps you help the people that you love. So, moving forward, what has been or what continues to be a challenge that you see that you're facing, or the thing that you find most important currently?
In business in general, I mean, listen, lately, and I think always, for me is people. I mean,
Mm,
people are the reason for the success and the reason for failure,
exactly.
in every business. And I've always struggled to recruit great people. And I
Okay.
think if look, I have got a few people around me who are incredible people who I've been with for a long time, or not necessarily been with for a long time, but hope I will be with for a long time in the future. I think you know a big turning point for me in recruitment and in trying to fix our people problems over the last year or two really came from uh, I always like to blame myself for every problem.
Okay.
I always like to say that everything's my fault, because I think if I
Maximum
step back and say
ownership.
everything's
Yeah.
my fault, then it gives me the ability to try and find out why, and what I can do to fix that. Um, and I always used to, I guess, moan about, oh, there's no good people out there,
Mhm.
everybody you hire shit, and it's so difficult to get good talent. And when I one day, I don't know why, but one day I kind of woke up and looked at it, I thought, you know what, that's such a ridiculous comment,
Yeah.
or such a ridiculous belief. That there's hundreds of thousands of amazing people out there in every business, not in
Hmm.
every, but in businesses around the world. There's hundreds of thousands of amazingly talented people who I
Hmm.
would love to employ. It's not that there's not great people out there, it's that I'm not very good at hiring them, or
Hmm.
I'm not very good at retaining them.
Yeah.
And I think that was a big wake up call for me, really. And we've been investing heavily in the people side of things over the last couple of years, but it's not easy,
Yeah. Not at all.
because even when you kind of start to get it a bit right. I mean, today's economy is very difficult to recruit in. I
Hmm.
mean, there's the inflation on wages is putting massive pressure on our businesses and other businesses alike.
Hmm.
The whole work from home thing is something I'm not a fan of in the
It's different.
slightest. I think it's very, very difficult to build a team, to build a culture, to
Yeah.
to get great efficiency when people are not all in the same building, or
Hmm.
certainly in the same building for a decent amount of time.
Hmm.
But unfortunately, we're still at a time where companies are giving in to all these concessions to staff. I do think that's going to change a
Hmm.
lot over the next, I say 6 to 12 months. I mean,
Yeah.
I hope it's as quick as 6 to 12 months. It may be longer, but I mean, obviously, you're over in the US.
Yeah.
Wherever we are in the world, we're reading about the massive layoffs and massive tech layoffs with your Apples, your Googles, your Facebooks,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. And when it starts with those guys, it will fall down the ranks. When it happens with America, it will fall down to England, and there will be a point in the not too distant future
Uh-huh.
where crazy wages aren't on offer, where terms that are totally employee friendly aren't on offer. I think that will be a good turning point for
Mhm.
for smaller businesses to be able to take advantage of. But no, that right now that is my biggest struggle.
Okay. So tell me, is there, moving forward, is there anything new that you're looking to accomplish? Anything new that you're looking to achieve? Because you being able to overcome most of the things that you've overcome is a great feat, right? It's a great opportunity. And being driven how what you're being driven by is very important. And so, I mean, you have a ton of business that you're doing. You're doing a lot of investing. You're doing a lot of these things. What is next for Matt Haycox, and what should we be looking out for?
I mean, look, as far as actual business units and businesses are concerned, I'm not doing anything more for the foreseeable future. I mean, I operate a finance business, a property business, a leisure business, a banking platform, a fashion ecom business, an events business, an EPOS system business. So I've I've kind of accidentally acquired a lot of businesses over the past 3 or 4 years, and all of those businesses need support. Both in terms of capital, in terms of resources, and in terms of my time, and pretty much all of those businesses have got massive potential to be able to scale and to be able to be fantastically profitable in their own right. I think one of my mistakes of the past was really to spread myself too thin. Kind of bite off more than I can chew. It's not so much bite off more than I can chew, but obviously talking a minute ago about my biggest issue is recruiting and maintaining great staff,
Mm-hmm.
and that's hard enough with one business. Never mind with 6 or 7 or 8 businesses. So I'm very much staying focused on the businesses that we've got for the foreseeable future. That said, I do another kind of let's say line of work or a lot of content creation under my own name.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have a website, a podcast, a newsletter. I'm pretty active on all things social, where I make a lot of content I both talk to other entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
inspiring individuals, and answer the questions of my audience, which for me is both a passion and I guess a lead generator
Exactly.
from building my personal brand too.
Yeah, yeah. So, and and that's great because you definitely got to keep that in mind. Like, though it's our passion, it definitely is a great way to connect um, with our listeners as well as bring in new possible prospects as well. I see a couple of guys doing that for that reason. Tell me this: what are some of your passions right now?
I mean, look, one of the things that I'm most passionate about, both in business and personally, is networking,
Okay.
and it's something I talk about regularly. It's something I probably consider. I spend 30% of my working time,
Wow.
doing, and it's something I kind of ram down the throats of my business partners or
Mm-hmm.
key staff in the businesses that I've got. I always say that I can look back over the last 20 odd years in business and pick 4 or 5 or 6 key defining moments
Mm-hmm.
that were big stepping stones for me, or major kind of financial platforms onto the next step, and every single one of those has been down to either a partnership, a joint venture, or some kind of a
Mm-hmm.
relationship,
Mm-hmm.
with a great person that I met through networking, through actively going out there to grow my network. And I think you know both networking and partnerships are the two things very much go hand in hand, because again,
Yeah.
I look back at my earlier years and I very much had this probably ego driven obsession that I had to own everything, I had to do everything. I had to be the big 100% shareholder
Mm.
of all the businesses and the big
Yeah.
boss. And I've very much learned over the last few years that that I can go a lot farther, faster by partnering up with the right people. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, picking the right partners is another skill or another potential problem in
Yes.
and of itself. And it's absolutely essential that that you're partnering up with people who can bring something else to the table. If you,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, that the perfect partner is someone who's almost like the exact opposite to you.
Yeah.
For me, the definition of a bad partnership would be where you end up being Siamese twins together. If you're both going to do the same stuff, if you're
Uh-huh.
both going to talk about
You
the
might
same
as
thing,
well.
then you're really all you are
Uh,
doing is diluting the profit in two.
uh-huh.
But if you've got different people who can bring different skill sets to the table, whether that's capital or operational ability or distributional ability,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever it may be, so I'm a lot less precious about sharing the pie now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess networking something that's been with me throughout my whole career. Something like I say, I really feel I invest in, and I do both in my personal and business life. And partnerships is something that I've probably done accidentally over the years, but really put big focus in over the past few.
Rightfully so too. I recently listened to I think it's Myron Golden, and he mentions that being like the top way of business moving forward in the next few years is through partnerships. Exactly like you said, either someone has something that you don't have or whatever it may be. But okay, so one thing I like to do is I still haven't come up with the name, but let's call it the quick round 3 questions, right? And what I like to do is I like to ask my guests 3 quick questions, then also allow you about 2 or so minutes afterwards to just leave the audience with something to sit on. So does that sound good to you?
Yeah, do it. Let's do it.
Okay. So I know that you're a well-read person. What is the last book you read?
The last book I read is what did I read last? You've got me thinking now. I actually, so no, the last book I read, because I'm halfway through one at the minute. I just forgot what the last one was. It was me rereading Russell Brunson's .com secrets. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, Russell Brunson is a marketing genius who owns ClickFunnels, and he's got a kind of a collection of books. It used to be a trilogy, but I think there's a fourth one on there now as well. So he's got Traffic Secrets and
Mm-hmm.
.com Secrets and
Mm-hmm.
Expert Secrets, and they are just absolutely fantastic books for all things marketing. And
Mm-hmm.
whilst semi aimed at the online world, they're completely translatable into bricks and mortar too. So I recommend them for anyone.
Great suggestion. Okay, so 5 minutes left on Earth. What song are you playing?
What song? I love country music. I love American country music.
Okay.
I'm also a major Shazammer.
Ah.
I could be sat in a meeting or sat out in a restaurant with friends, and my phone always comes out when I hear a music to do a bit of Shazam. But something country. Couldn't tell you exactly what, but I love Luke Bryan and Toby Keith and
Okay.
Brad Paisley and all the American greats.
Definitely understand. Me being from the South, I listen to it all. I'm trying to think of my guy's name, Chris. I think it's like Tennessee whiskey or whiskey something.
Whiskey for my horses.
Okay, yeah, there you go. So you definitely understand, and yeah. Okay, so next question: What are the movie? What are the movies or movie that inspired you as a child, or kind of stands out at the moment?
Two movies. So I remember as a kid, I used to watch a movie called Days of Thunder, which was a kind of a 1990s Tom Cruise movie.
Okay.
Which I mean, even back then, I think I went to the cinema something like 7 times or 8 times to see it when it was still at the cinema, and watched it countless times on video, and still, I mean, literally almost 30 years later,
Mm-hmm.
I still love to watch that. Other than movie, I'm obsessed with 24, the TV show. I mean, I've seen like seasons 1 to 8. I
Uh-huh.
must have watched them 4, 5, 6 times each. When I actually say that out loud, I don't know where I found the time, but I love. I probably wouldn't have time to watch all of 24 if I only had 2 days left on Earth.
Okay, so there it is. Okay, so tell me this: What are some words you want to leave for the listener?
I think for me, it's really going back to what we were talking about earlier. That if you want to go far and fast,
Mm-hmm.
seek out mentors and
Yeah.
seek out partners.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be ego driven to make the mistakes that you should want to do things on your own.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to do it on your own, you're going to be slower. You're going to make more mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Take advantage of the people who have been there ahead of you. Hopefully you're in that mindset anyway. That's why you listen to podcasts like this. You wouldn't be listening to this if you didn't have a mind open enough to want to learn from other people. So go out there, find as many people as you can. Don't be afraid to ask. Most people are good, helpful people who will give you the answers to the questions.
Mm-hmm.
And one super tip for growing your network is anytime you're in a meeting, anytime you're on a telephone call,
Yeah.
ask the person who they've got that they can introduce you to.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you 8 out of 10 people will introduce you to somebody. Obviously contextualize it to what it is that you want to know. I mean, chances are that the person you're already talking to or the person you're already meeting with is going to be in the same field as more people that you want to meet like that.
Exactly.
Just, ask for a referral, ask for an introduction, and I guarantee you, like I say, 8 out of 10 people will do it. You do that once or twice a day
Mm-hmm.
for a month, for 2 months, for 3 months. You'll have more people in your black book than you'll ever have time to speak to.
There you have it. There it is. Another episode of Beyond Six Figures with Matt Haycox. Look, if you like to learn from my guest and you want to get some weekly insights, hit the link in the show notes to follow and sign up for our weekly newsletter. And you'll continue to get information such as this, as in what we talked about, and some just insights of what I've gained from these conversations, and some weekly inspiration. Also, if you want to follow Matt on all platforms, hit the links in the show notes and give him a follow and a shout. and reach out. So yeah, another great episode, and I'm glad that you guys were here to witness and experience this conversation. So until I see you, be great, be vigilant, be curious, be you.